Let's get to the questions, everyone. Let's get to the questions this Friday. Let's go to the first question from Andrea Gonçalves. She says this, Andrea, is it possible that other Supreme Court justices could intervene in this and go after Andrea Gonçalves? Thank you for the question, Andrea Gonçalves. So this whole situation is with the second panel of the Federal Supreme Court, right? So who can really intervene directly in any decision, Regarding the case of Vorcaro, the Daniel Vorcaro Mafia from Banco Master, where it seems like Andrea Gonçalves is kind of covering up for Flávio Bolsonaro, kind of shielding him. Because despite all the revelations, there hasn't been an operation against Flávio Bolsonaro so far. So in principle, who can intervene? It's the members of the first panel, which would be André and Nunes Marques. Guilmar Mendes and Luis Fuchs, who are from the second panel, okay? If something more serious, more severe happens, right? Since we don't know what might happen, right? Then yes, the other justices of the Federal Supreme Court can be called upon, okay? Including the President of the Federal Supreme Court in a more drastic situation, you know? But if that's not the case, it's the second panel that will decide whether Andrea Gonçalves is right or not in her actions. And the second panel is kind of complicated too, right? Now there's that other situation where the Prosecutor General's office was called upon to make a statement. Whether Flávio Bolsonaro should be included or not in the investigation into the crime committed by Eduardo Bolsonaro of coercion in the course of legal proceedings for which he has already been convicted. Because there's been a new development, which is the issue of financing, right? And there is a suspicion that Daniel Vorcaro's money is funding Eduardo Bolsonaro over there in the United States. And the one demanding this money here in Brazil was Flávio Bolsonaro. Then they requested the inclusion of Flávio Bolsonaro in this investigation. And in this investigation, the one in charge is Alexandre de Moraes from the first panel. And this can happen. As a precaution, Justice Alexandre de Moraes could also get involved in this situation and take care of this specific part regarding Flávio and Eduardo Bolsonaro. Do you understand, my dear? The Attorney General's office hasn't commented yet. I believe the Attorney General's office requested further investigative steps and more evidence to decide how to handle this situation. Because if he gives the green light to Alexandre de Moraes, I believe Alexandre de Moraes will really go after him and start summoning and taking measures against Flávio Bolsonaro. But right now, we specifically depend on the Attorney General's statement for that. Okay? Thank you for the question. Andrea Gonçalves, kisses. Let's go to the next question, which is also interesting. Paulo Sarkis says, is it true that Flávio Bolsonaro announced the federal police operation in the video where he attacks the Comando Vermelho and the PCC? How did he know? So Flávio Bolsonaro posted a video that incites political violence. A video like this is ridiculous, very violent, where he is shooting, saying he wants to gun down the PT supporters just like his father. Then he makes a video with artificial intelligence piloting an F-35 fighter jet, dropping bombs on the Red Command, on the PCC, and so on. And at the end, he says he's going to announce something big on Thursday, which would have been yesterday when the federal police carried out an operation against the PT Senator Jacques Wagner. So there are people saying that he was referring to the situation with the federal police conducting searches and seizures against the PT deputy Senator Jacques Wagner. Now others are saying that it's not about that, it's about what he released. He released his own public security package to fight crime. And so that's very likely the situation. But anyway, we have to keep an eye on it because we know there are still unidentified police officers, federal ones, who are there under the orders of Daniel Vorcaro in the federal police, unfortunately. And it wasn't even me who said that. It was André Mendonça during the trial where the Federal Supreme Court, the second panel, decided to keep Felipe Vorcaro in prison. André Mendonça said that there are federal police officers involved who are earning 400,000 reais a month to leak confidential information, and that they still don't know if there are any federal police officers infiltrated. Even a police chief has already been removed from her position, a federal police chief, just so you know, right? So with all these leaks, we don't really doubt it either. Flávio may have had privileged information, which is why he released the video claiming a bombshell was coming, likely referring to Thursday's federal police operation against Senator Wagner. That could explain it. But also at the same time, he announced a public security package with a bunch of things that Bolsonaro had already promised to do and never did. It's the same thing. And another thing I have to say, where is Nunes Marques? This video is an act of political violence, and this video is very serious. Where is Nunes Marques? Nunes Marques, who censored a legitimate poll based on true facts, isn't going to censor this video from Flávio Bolsonaro, is he? This situation is a terrible, absurd act of violence. And something has to be done, because if we start accepting this kind of situation, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse, and maybe we'll have the most violent election in Brazil's history. And it's interesting, right, that Flávio Bolsonaro went to the Superior Electoral Court saying that Lula was spreading political violence, when several people from the Workers' Party and everyone was saying that Flávio is Flávio Rachadinha, connected to Vorkar and all that. And now with this video, with the machine gun, with a whole series of other things, making insinuations about fighting the political opponent, who is no longer just a political opponent according to this video, but an enemy. This is political violence. And the Superior Electoral Court can't lose control of this situation. They have to act and ban this kind of video. You see? No matter who it's from, whether it's from the Workers' Party on the left or from the far right of Bolsonaro, of Flávio Bolsonaro. You see? Now, I don't doubt it, you know? And we have to keep an eye on it. Like I said, Flávio Bolsonaro should have already been subject to search and seizure measures anyway, a whole range of other measures. And so far, nothing, right? Let's go to the next question here. Thank you for the question, Paulo. Andrea Cristina. It's obvious that Mendonça and the federal police are giving the Mafia time to get rid of the evidence. The Mafia infiltrated the institutions, Operation Car Wash happened, the Dilma government, haven't Lula and the left learned? Anyway. Justice has to be done, dear, and the institutions are there. And the government can't just go and destroy, tear everything down, otherwise it would be staging a coup. You have to wait for the institutions and wait to see what will happen. Sometimes we expect one thing, but something else occurs. I know one thing, we can't cover up for anyone, not for the right and not for the left, even less for the far right, and everyone has to be held accountable and answer for their crimes, no matter who they are. And I sincerely hope that André Mendonça is ready and prepared for that. Put in jail whoever is involved, no matter who it is, including the Bolsonaros. The one who put him in the federal Supreme Court was Bolsonaro. And that there is no kind of protection for his children, all right? Let's go to the next one here. André and Christina as well. André, the Wagner case isn't directly connected to Banco Master. It's the case of the sixth feeding in 2013. The one connected to Volcaro is Luis Lima. Of course, my dear. Of course, Luis Lima is the former associate of Daniel Volcaro and, according to the federal police, was friends with Wagner. Now it's up to the police and the justice system to prove if anyone is involved. It's not up to us. We are here to show what is happening, what the federal police is saying, what the prosecutor general is saying, and soon what the federal Supreme Court will decide. The important thing is that we understand that justice must be served no matter who it affects. All right, my dear? Thank you for the questions. And André, once again, we are tired of seeing that nothing has changed. The far right continues committing crimes and the judicial institutions are co-opted and afraid to take action. Well, the far right is never going to change. Everyone gives what they have, as my grandmother used to say, and that's what extremists have to offer. It's violence, it's ignorance, it's crime. Expecting anything from the far right that isn't crime, thuggery, or trickery is foolish. It's foolish, isn't it? Now the institutions are taking action, my dear. Many people are already in jail. Daniel Vorcaro, Fabiano Zettel, Daniel Vorcaro's father, and the former president of BRB. Now they have to get everyone. And we have to be careful so there's no infighting or politicians being shielded, especially in this election year. André Mendonça, as we know, was appointed to the Supreme Court by Bolsonaro. So we have to keep an eye out to make sure there's no kind of shielding, but I believe in justice. Obviously, we're keeping our eyes open so that all of this doesn't turn into another lava jato. And that it doesn't become a power structure using the judiciary to try to bring down Lula in the re-election and put Bolsonaro back in the presidency. Here's how I see it. People won't accept this kind of situation anymore. But obviously, we have to stay alert, even to communicate and share this. So we stay vigilant because we won't accept a Lava Jato 2.0 coming from André Mendonça. And I still believe in the institutions, I still believe in the judiciary, and I believe that justice will be done. Now we have to be ready. We also can't cover up for left-wing criminals. And whoever is involved has to pay for their crimes. And in this context, for me, Flávio Bolsonaro is the main one. Where, if you think about it, he was practically a partner in Daniel Vorcaro's Mafia. Where Flávio still hasn't explained where the millions and millions and millions of reais came from. Actually, he did explain it came from Daniel Vorcaro, money stolen from the Mafia. But where did the money go? Then it went to the movie. Where's the evidence the money went there? No accounting has been done yet. And so far, no one has been caught collecting money from Daniel Vorcaro except for Flávio Bolsonaro. Where is the federal police breathing down Flávio Bolsonaro's neck? Get the federal police on Flávio right now. André Mendonça, wake up. And Lula, make it 4. Smash that like button, like, comment, and share, my handsome and beautiful people. Much love. See you next time on Q&A.